Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Now You Know podcast, where we dive into the stories of innovators and industry leaders shaping the future of India. Today's guest is Vishal Vikram, the co-founder of BijliRide, an electric, two-wheeler rental company that revolutionizes urban mobility within India. Since launching, BijliRide has grown from a small fleet in Hyderabad to a rapidly expanding business, and they tackle a lot of different issues and challenges that come with vehicles, such as range anxiety, charging infrastructure, and even affordability through battery swapping. And before BijliRide, Michelle worked in sales, marketing, and business development at Amazon and Infosys. And in this episode, we'll explore his journey, the state of EV rentals in India, some government policies, competition, funding, and future of electric mobility. Michelle, welcome to the Now We Know podcast, and thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So, you want to quickly tell us about yourself? Yeah.
So yes, I'm basically a first-time entrepreneur, and I started my journey with BijliRide. And probably, if we say the ideation stage, it was August 2020, and we started our operations in June 2021. Prior to that, I am a BTech graduate, like most of us probably, and I've also done my BTech in information technology. Post that, I got a placement in Infosys Limited, so I joined there as systems engineer. I think I pursued uh, 2.5 years of IT experience. Then I realized it was something, probably I don't see it out of Dwarka, Delhi. It was called MAP, Mere Aspas, a hyper-local grocery delivery platform. And I was also kind of figuring out what to do. And also they kind of asked me to, hop in and help them with business development. So I joined them, and we tried to build that business first. Even no one in my family ever had a business background. I didn't even know how to do business. But
Oh, wow.
working with friends and all, it was quite easier. So I thought, let's try it at least, because anyhow I'm
Yeah.
not looking forward to anything. We joined them. I think, ran that startup almost for 2 years again. Uh, we started in the first month with around 1.5 lakh of revenue, and when we were closing it down due to lack of funding and all, we had somewhere around 35 lakh of revenue per month. It was kind of a learning experience, but again, I was not sure that, if it is a right thing for me, because of obviously learning about the challenges and, but yes, the execution part was something which was really fun, because, we didn't have anyone to sort of to listen from, and we can do anything ground up, we can experiment, and even if we fail, we didn't have anything to worry about. So at least at that point of time, we had that sort of mindset. And then
Yeah.
that, I again was looking for jobs and all. Then I joined few other companies here and there, but I figured out that okay, sales is something which would probably, which intrigues me. I love talking to customers, understanding them, understanding their pain point, and probably addressing, if I'm obviously able to address their pain points. And that,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of aha moments when I've closed down sales, and also that really intrigued me. And obviously, added incentives are obviously a boon for sales purpose. So
For sure.
that put me in something that, okay, business development and sales is something which I can make my journey in. And
Got it.
then again,
Yeah.
COVID hit, and I was like, in the previous company was a immigration company where I was a sales consultant. So it was kind of laying off a lot of employees. So I figured out quite early that, okay, this COVID is something which is not going to be short-lived. So again, I tried to
Yeah.
put up my hands and legs here and there and trying to find a job. And I landed in Amazon as an HR, which was
Wow.
again something, really not linked to my profile. But being tagged with a brand again, and getting to understand that HR perspective also, because prior to that also, I also have a very lean perspective as to what HR is, right? But when I actually entered into HR and operations, I figured out that it's a very vast and a crucial thing for a company, which again, I worked on setting up HR processes for the MENA and EMEA region in Amazon. Then again, the market hit, and then layoffs and all were going on. So I was put down back in the old team. So I thought that there was nothing new to learn, because I had already worked on that in previous
Yeah.
1 year and 6 months. Then I chose to kind of be started, but I was not full time. I was working away remotely, like daytime Amazon and here and there working out, because I in Amazon also I had shifts, so I was working in 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. shifts in Amazon. In the morning and afternoon I was working for BijliRide, and then probably at that moment in I think March 2021 I decided to go full time with
Okay.
so because I think kind of it had shaped up quite good. We were kind of having sort of a plan as well, and at that point of time, so that was something where my other co-founders also asked me to let's go ahead with that and all.
For sure.
Yeah, and
I think that's awesome. Yeah. You were just curious, Michelle. I'm curious, like, what inspired you and your team to start the G, right? And was there like a specific moment or, a challenge that you had where you were like, okay, definitely have to, do this based on your experiences?
so actually, the whole seed was actually Shivam's, my like partner and CEO. He was working in Amazon on the foods vertical, and he had gone through this problem where delivery riders and the kind of unit economics were not working with Amazon Foods, and ultimately that had also shut down in Bangalore. So we were trying to come up with that thing, and as I mentioned earlier with talking to you guys, that I was also like I had also completed my certification in product management with Duke University. So I was also kind of trying to figure out, how to actually utilize my freshly owned knowledge, because I owned
Yeah.
internship and nobody was ready to give me a APM or a PM job offer. So I
Yeah.
thought that, okay, this would be something where I can explore my skills also, and my experience of IT, sales, and HR and marketing would all come in handy over here.
Yeah.
Another reason was because it had been a personal frustration also, quite, in our starting days of our corporate career, when, I also landed up in Hyderabad for the first time to start my corporate journey. So, you know how boys are, right? They need a two-wheeler, they need a vehicle. So, and at that instant,
Yeah.
nobody, thinks about buying a vehicle, or, going ahead even with the second-hand vehicle would, scare you if you are not purchasing it from a reliable person. So these had been my pain points also. Yes, we were figuring out. So me and Shivam were trying to figure out where, we were trying to pitch in with corporate pickup and drops. So we reach out to our previous companies and other big companies also, because, when you have an idea, you think that, okay, everybody is waiting for you to just come and idea and you start working on. But we had a reality check over there. The systems are quite optimized in big corporates, and you can't tweak. Like, who would trust two guys coming up with an idea like this, right? So we thought,
Yeah.
let's not go ahead with corporate cab, pickup and drop, just like how Move and Sync is right now, right? So we were planning something like that earlier. But so we thought that, okay, let's we have some saved money. Let's put some money together. And we used to roam here and there at night when we are, for a tea or, anywhere exploring the city, Hyderabad. So we came across a lot of delivery riders on our path. So we started questioning them as to, how was their experience, what were they earning, and what were the challenges which they were facing and all. So but eventually, around Shivam and me have roughly interviewed around 150 delivery riders and all. Even we had each and every single person's number saved by lead potential. So we thought that whenever we are going to start, we'll try to reach out to them. Every rider would call us back, and we tried to, count that out, that, okay, this rider has called
Yeah.
15 times. So whenever we start, we are going to give the first vehicles to the people who have called us back the most. So
Yeah.
then we accumulated some money. We started with 3 vehicles. We parked it in our own society's garage, and we kept one vehicle for our battery delivery and that sort of thing. And we gave 2 vehicles to one of the Zomato riders and one of the Swiggy riders. And from there we started.
And these were electric vehicles,
Yes.
like the okay. Like when do you get those from? Like, did you guys build
So
them?
we actually bought our first 3 vehicles. We bought them from Hero Electric. the dealership in Hyderabad only. So we reached out to them and we asked them to give it to us. Then obviously we learned out commercial licensing and everything, rental licensing and everything over the course of time. We learned it. And then again, next lot of vehicles we bought. 40 vehicles. We had Aditya on board, who was our tech co-founder and our CTO, and he joined. And then we started building on our app because we had worked on kind of an execution thing from start as to what is actually going on in the app. Yes, from there we started, and right now we have a fleet size of around 2,500 based out of Hyderabad, and
Yeah.
complete bootstrapped. We haven't raised any funds and all, and
Wow.
we are trying to run it sustainably and profitably, and hopefully
Sure.
we'll be able to do that. Continue.
No, yeah, well, yeah. Congratulations on that. I think it's absolutely huge running a 2,500 vehicle fleet. Yeah, within like a span of like 3.5, 4 years. I think that's awesome.
Yes, less
Yeah,
than 4 years.
less than 4 years. Yeah,
I think that's a really good rate of growth, wouldn't you say, Naveen?
Yes, thank you.
yeah.
Patrick.
Hey,
Thank you
can you
so.
hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
A little low, but yes, we can hear you.
I'm so sorry with these technical issues.
No issues. No.
Yeah.
So, given your rate of growth and given the fact that India is one of the largest two-wheeler markets in the world, where do you see, or how do you see the role of, especially EV rentals? Forget just any rentals. How do you see EV rentals in this ecosystem?
So I think EV rentals are going to play a very crucial role for the very same reasons, that still people are having issues with, vehicle performances, vehicle issues. People are still scared of the fact that the vehicles might burn and those sort of facts. But the technology has obviously advanced a lot, and it is going to advance more. But the major issue with the lack of infrastructure is something which is still being addressed by government and private players as well. We are also, kind of in that space where we are also trying to build up an ecosystem for anyone who comes up with this. And major thing which I understood was that people, when we started also, people were quite used to electric vehicles, like they were ready to use it, but they were not ready to own it. But for the very same fact that, that firstly, the high upfront cost, and secondly, that maintenance and keeping them uptime was a really big issue. And that is where something, EV rentals are going to play a very major part, because I feel that, it's sort of a new category, and category creation needs a lot of awareness, a lot of education, a lot of patience, and getting people familiar with the concept of, renting a electric two-wheeler is something which is probably, it has picked up pace since we started. I think when we also started, we had pretty much, I think, couple of competitors already had a head up start right behind us. But I think this space is going to be really exciting, and a lot of things are going to come up in the near future as well. In fact, from us as well.
For sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's interesting.
Yes.
That's really cool. Especially in cities like Bangalore, and I'm pretty sure Hyderabad too.
Yes.
You'd see a lot of these two-wheelers, and even delivery. All of these delivery ERPs are always constantly looking towards sustainable solutions, and they're always, focusing on EVs
Right.
to deliver, and they brand too on these
Correct.
EVs.
Correct. No, as a matter of fact, actually, if you see, not for the personal consumption only, but as the quick commerce market is growing up and each and every company is trying to, hop on the quick commerce category, I've seen a lot of tremendous potential in tier 2 and tier 3 towns as well. And it's really going to be a huge market for EV rentals.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. Go on.
Do you see
You go on,
that?
Patrick.
Yeah. Do you
Yes.
see how early do you think they will be receptive to this idea? These third-tier cities.
The customers, tier 3 cities,
Yeah.
I think you would start seeing it probably within this year or a couple of years only, because see, tier 1 is something, kind of a lot of cities are saturated, right? And for players like us also, going to a saturated market is sometimes kind of look back, like, if there is already a lot of competition present and something. So kind of, you also want to explore other unexplored market, and it is anyhow a new category and an unorganized market. So let's say tourist places and all, they have their own sort of a system where you rent a vehicle. Tier 2 is already picked up paces. We have, anyhow expanded our footprints to Lucknow and Noida. And probably in tier 3 also in the upcoming months, upcoming this year or upcoming 1 year or two couple of years, you will see a lot of tremendous growth in tier 3 cities as well, because for the same fact that people are getting habitual to shopping online, and quick commerce and Instamart is something very habituated. Like, I especially for the matter of fact that people, especially young people, are choosing these sort of gig workers thing as a side income thing, also as a side hustle also. And they are also kind of being independent, and EV helps them just give it that push, because they don't need to pay it anything upfront or that sort of thing. So I think the rental is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I think just talking about competition in this space, I think when we did some quick research, we did find a lot of companies in this space. Number one, I think it's very promising because in a way, if you don't have competitors, it also invalidates the idea. But if you do have competition, it shows us that there is some true potential and value here.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, and also given the fact that I don't know, India has been talking about EVs for a long time, and people have been asking the question, when are we actually going to transition and stuff? So I really do think the rental model I think is one part of the puzzle in a way. Doesn't help with everything, obviously, but I think with just making sure people are aware of it, people have flexibility, during this time period and through the transition. I think it's great. So just curious. I know, for example, Bounce, one of the, is one of the most well-funded scooter rental companies. And even with all of this funding and all of this support, they still somehow had a lot of challenges and pitfalls. So just curious what your experience is with them and how, BijliRide is trying to avoid many such situations.
Yes, so in fact, we also considered that scenario, and I believe I think two were the major challenges. One was obviously that they were going ahead with the dockless sort of a model, and the major issues were the kind of the recovery of the vehicles. Even like when I was in Hyderabad and I came, I could easily find a bounce vehicle lying here and there, and their tow truck, a recovery vehicle picking up the vehicle and all. And that was something which probably hit at most, because that asset cost is really high. And even if you have a certain minimal security deposit, but if let's say a customer just tries to bunk the vehicle and sort of heavily damaged and all, and he just leaves the vehicle at any place, you cannot do much about that unless you have a robust system at place. So I think that was something probably that went wrong for them. And the second thing was obviously, that they were mostly like not EV focused also, and it was not targeted to a specific market. Like, you like just like how you have, like, let's say Royal Brothers rentals and all. So like they are kind of Zoom car of two-wheelers only, right? So you can have each and every option. So that tracking and maintenance is something which is, which is a challenge probably. And for us also, like, we tried to figure out that, okay, these were the initial challenges which we are also going to face. And right from the start, we had that thing in mind that, okay, any customer who wants to pick up the vehicle, he has to come to our hub or any pickup and drop point. And we had all the kind of the robust systems at place where, once you are registering and downloading our app, before you can book our vehicle through our app, you have to go through a mandatory KYC procedure. Where you have to upload your Aadhaar, which gets verified from the UIDAI portal. And then you have to upload your driving license, which gets verified from the Parivan portal. Once these things are in check and place, then only you can, proceed ahead with taking the vehicle for the rent. So probably that helped us something where can also keep our security deposit costs low, because ultimately if I'm asking to give us an upfront cost right in the start, I'll lose out a lot of chunk of customers. So
Right.
that helped us a lot in terms of recoveries and payments as well. And we've been very lucky that like in the lost or theft or such cases have been always till date less than 1% for us.
Okay.
Wow.
While we're on the topic of, rules and regulations and stuff, I think it's very important that we do touch about your relationship with, the government, not only like India as a whole, but different states too. So why don't you tell us a little about how you work with the government and, what that entire scenario looks like?
So yes, I mean, government push has one of the, I think, kickstarts when we were actually starting. There were a lot of FAME2 subsidies and all helped us. In fact, a lot of people like us to, actually procure the vehicles at reasonably good prices and all, even if we are going ahead with the lease model and all. That kind of figured out and helped the unit economics for us as well to keep the cost as low as possible for the customer. Ultimately, it is meant for the customer. It is not meant for our personal usage. That's something which was really a good push. Apart from that, the local government, I think we were incubated in T-Hub as one of the 10 startups which were selected in the mobility space. I think we were selected in 2022. Kind of exposure and opportunity also gave us a really good head start where we were able to sort of kind of explore different things like we were kind of trying to explore corporate partnerships, or let's say with government organizations like TG Redco or any other sort of thing where we can sort of come in and provide their employees and their sort of staff with any sort of commercial or commute options, be it through company or just to create awareness. Apart from that, T-Hub also helped us in kind of the exposure in terms of PR, in terms of connecting with other stakeholders where, we can collaborate with each other and provide maximum value to our customers. So I think government has really been supportive. And I think again, with this budget also, again, subsidies have come up. Again, they are, kind of pushing, and probably electric vehicle sales are anyhow at an all-time high. So anyhow, the government is in full intention that to push the electric vehicle, four-wheeler, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, anyhow. And government has always been really supportive, and we've had a really good back of the government from either be it central or state government.
Yeah, I think that clears up a little.
Yep.
Because
I think that's really good.
Yeah, because India has, and the Indian government at least is always taxing all of these startups who actually have a very good idea. And I was talking to somebody from the startup initiative, the startup club that we are having in my university, Christ University. And they were saying that all of these ideas, actually it was, do you know Stripe?
Stripe, no.
Yeah, it's kind of like PayPal.
Okay.
It's completely international. They don't operate in India.
Hmm.
And they were saying that, when they're trying to get the Indian government to work with them to, for them to be operational in India, the Indian government wanted such a big chunk of the returns. The Stripe was like, what, we just could run a back-end offices here instead of having an actual operational system. I think that's one of the, would you say that's a boon or a bane, like a challenge, or is it something that's helpful to you? The government being...
I think it's actually helpful because anyhow, right from the start, the government has been pushing, make in India and, kind of propagating the culture of, like nurturing minds over here instead of, we invest a lot in our education and experience and all. And then like sometimes I also feel that, okay, if you're like, once you have gained that experience and you have that kind of exposure and all, most of the people nowadays also, they are coming back and setting up businesses and startups over here as well. So I think that eventually, gives us also a boost of confidence that, okay, India is not far behind. Like if, making America great again could be a motto, why not, making India great again cannot be a motto. So probably, we could be some kind of atom or molecular part of that initiative as well, from our initiatives as well. And we feel really proud. And I think considerably that India is a developing country and we have a lot of things to explore, and that gives us kind of an open mind and open hands to, work around things here and there.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very interesting point that you brought up. Yeah. Because being able to actually have the government back you up in terms of just being able to support you and be like, hey, we actually prioritize and make it India. I think it's great. And I think even on a bunch of like, I know Nikhil Kamal's podcast as well. Like I've been seeing a lot of companies actually just, everyone's actually just trying to start a lot of things within India itself, which I think is exciting, for sure. But yeah. I think, just moving on a little bit to, just the operations, so the day-to-day of BijliRide and some of the challenges and, stuff like that. I think I'd be very interested to, hear BijliRide's business model, because on the website we had the free floating rentals, the subscription plans, all of that. I think it's very interesting, very new. These are things that I haven't seen. If you don't mind just explaining to the audience and even us what the plans are and how you even came up with them, I think that'll be very great.
Sure. So we are basically our core businesses of renting out the electric two-wheelers. And we have sort of three plans as of now, where we provide them on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis to individuals and businesses both. And coming to other business models, we have the major USP which we have is our 24/7 road assistance, which gives our customers a lot of confidence. I believe no one is in India probably is providing that sort of an assistance in the CV rental space. I think we probably would be the first to provide that. I think that actually gave us a good head start and word of mouth as well, where customers can actually rely and trust on us, because ultimately we are not manufacturers, we are into pure service business, and trust is something which we heavily would have to rely on. If I get one customer, if I provide one good customer good experience, he gets on board 10 others. But if I provide one bad experience to customer, he takes away 4 or 5 with them. So with that rental, and then again the 24/7 assistance where we provide on-road services to our customers, is another business model which we work on. And secondly, we have multiple pickup and drop points across city. As of now, we have 4 pickup and drop points in Hyderabad, and we'll be coming up with 3 to 4 more by this probably financial year end. So probably expanding our footprints across the city of Hyderabad, because right from the start we were trying to figure out that a lot of chunk of our customers were living on the opposite part of the city. So they had to, come up to us in west side of the city and then go back, keep the vehicle, and then again come back to submit the vehicle. So it was a bit of a challenge to them as well. So we thought that we have to figure out a model where our customers can actually be accessible. So that is what our motto was, providing accessibility, affordability, and convenience. So through pickup and drop points, we tried kind of provided accessibility to a lot of customers through that as well. So these are the few primary business models which are up and running, and we are working on other business models as well. So you'll read about it very soon.
Sure. No, I think definitely excited about that.
Yes.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I think in terms of I think just talking about affordability itself, I know it's around 400 rupees a day. So I think as a college student, I feel like I really don't think I'd be able to afford that. 400 rupees a day. So just curious, like how do you determine the price points? I guess tested different prices and like within the city of Hyderabad, and also curious if it changes across cities. I know you said UP and other places as well.
So yes, like pricing definitely, here and there changes across the cities and all. Basically, the pricing is mostly the primary reasons are the demand and the kind of, labor cost and kind of the whole operational cost involved in maintaining them and keeping them uptime. So I think that pricing part has also been kind of, we are slightly premium price because of the quality of vehicles which we are providing. But yes, I think with that accompanied with the 24/7 assistance helps the customer to, put that extra shedding, let's say 100, 200, 300 as compared to any other competitor, because we are completely into high speed vehicles. You might rent a vehicle at, less than 100 rupees per day as well. That's not a big challenge. The challenge is actually running them and maintaining them and keeping them uptime. So if you're going ahead with our monthly plan, it would cost you less than 200 rupees per day. Obviously, when you're going with shorter durations, the price kind of raises, because you want to push the customer to use it for longer duration. So that's why actually the daily plans are slightly expensive. Note that whenever a customer is taking a daily plan with us, we are providing them with a full battery, and any issue which he comes across within 24 hours, we will be providing them with free of cost. That he pays, he values that every penny he's giving it to us.
Sure. Okay. No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, while we are actually talking about challenges faced by the customers, I think we should also talk about the challenges that you face. BijliRide has expanded from a tiny fleet in Hyderabad to multiple hubs, like you were saying right now.
Yes.
And so, what have been the biggest challenges in these scaling these operations?
I think majorly, I believe there are two challenges. Firstly, as I mentioned, keeping the vehicles uptime, because, as I mentioned that, even if you're buying the vehicles or, you're taking out on lease, ultimately you're paying something to back. Like, let's say if I'm, my EMI is going. Ultimately, there would be, if a vehicle is standing at my hub, it is not uptime. That vehicle is not producing revenue for me. Ultimately, it's a loss for me. So keeping the vehicles uptime for a certain duration is something which is a major challenge, which includes obviously support from the OEMs, the companies from whom we are taking the vehicles, and the support in terms of warranty and insurance. So keeping the TATs as least as possible so that the vehicles are rotated and eventually all the vehicles are on road is the biggest challenge, which comes down to the fact that, uh, it cannot be handled fully through tech. Although all our operations are managed through tech, that helps us actually to manage it with as least manpower as possible. Let's say if I take the ground team where, actually the operations team, we are hardly a team of 25, 30 people who are handling a fleet size of 2,500 vehicles. So
Wow.
that is something, managing the manpower is also a biggest challenge, especially with the blue collars, because, retaining them, onboarding them, you cannot, because they are not looking for a long-term sort of a career sort of thing. Like even if you pay them 1,000 rupees more, they will just be happy to leave and join another place. So working around the negative points of how to actually retain the operations team, and that's something which will always probably remain a challenge unless you have figured out a really good strategy where you are able to lucratively, hold them and retail them. Although we've been successful so far, but yes, as the team and business is growing, definitely this is also going to be a major challenge. But yes, keeping the vehicles uptime is a major challenge.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
You definitely need the vehicles up and running. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's, figuring out a way to do that efficiently is because from what we see here is that you're only going to keep growing and, expanding to more
Yes,
parts of
hopefully.
India and hopefully,
Yes.
around the globe too.
So actually, we are trying to build our tech around that only, so that we don't rely much heavily on operations. Can be handled through tech. It's just that you to reduce as much human errors as possible. So that is what tech helps us support. Like even any team, let's say payments, recovery, service team, each and every team works through our own mobile app, our own admin section where we manage our whole operations through that. And like let's say using analytics for inventory optimization, forecasting what spares would be required. So these are some things which actually help us forecast anything and probably take preventive measures rather than, because any issue would come, but what could be avoided can be avoided, so they should be avoided, right?
Right.
For sure. Yeah. I think, I think yeah, thanks so much for sharing about that. Yeah, I think maybe something that we can maybe move on to now based on your own experiences is maybe just the future. I think you already mentioned scaling and super, excited, and hopefully you'll go all over India for sure. So it is just curious, what trends do you see over the next 3 to 5 years, maybe just in the EV space itself in India, and more specifically to the EV rental space?
So if you see EV space, definitely, there would be a lot of probably new products also coming in. So probably the sales are anyhow going to boom. And EV rentals, as we may discussed earlier, that, it will be a major harbinger in, providing that sort of awareness and education among the customers to build that confidence that, okay, you can buy that vehicle also. Like our major agenda is that, I don't want my customers to keep renting from me. I want you to use the vehicle as per your need, save as much money as possible and buy your own vehicle, right? I don't want my customers to, rent. But yes, due to the current scenarios, I've had customers who have been using it like since past 84 weeks. I have one customer who has been using from till day one, the one customer which I mentioned about, our Zomato user,
Yeah.
still using.
Yeah.
Obviously the benefits come out of it, and there are some cons existing as of now also, but yes, hopefully those will be addressed, because companies like Ather and Ola, they are anyhow pretty much exciting. Like Ather is something which is a really good product. But yes, the costing and all is kind of towards the higher side, which probably any Activa user would not be really ready to as of now, right? So that shift from that pricing part, and secondly, building that trust among the brand, because even if, like, let's say Activa came up in electric, but people would buy it because of that legacy they have of Honda. They would not consider it, but there would be challenges anyhow, but I think in the coming years, these would also be addressed quite efficiently, as we are also working with a lot of partners. Like, we get partnered with the companies who are providing swapping stations, the companies who are providing charging stations. So in every sort of area, there would be, really good niche companies, which would be really, built in the coming 2-3 years also. And that whole collaboration and that whole ecosystem would be really exciting for companies like us as well, and mutually growing together, and ultimately, pushing India towards the goal of achieving, let's say, EV electrification by 2030. I think EV rentals would be really exciting and a bright space to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, actually looping back to what we were talking about, policies and, infrastructure movements from improvements from the government. If you could do things on your own, and hopefully help the EV industry and whatever industry you want, what would be on your wish list, for these policies, and how best could they aid you?
I feel, although we have seen a lot of improvement, but I think a lot less, like more support from kind of the regional authorities would be one added advantage. And,
Yeah.
assistance in terms of, let's say, if you are planning to scale and expand to other cities. So that support in terms of infrastructure cost, the capital expenditure is something which would be really helpful for especially companies like us, because we don't believe in, even if we are raising funds and, burning, their companies, people want to, run profitably, but sometimes it doesn't work because of, the rapid growth and all. So I think that would be a
Right.
really a good support where, startups can have an added advantage in terms of cost of land or something. That would be really good, appreciated. And I think in terms of vehicles and all, I think we have pretty much support, but obviously, the cost coming down as least as possible would be anyhow good. For ultimately, it is going to end consumer, right? So if we are also
Right.
getting the price at lower cost, if we had good subsidies, probably we will be also be able to pass on that advantage to our end customers as well.
I think that makes sense. And also you mentioned about the land being a little cheaper. I think, in an ideal world, that should be the standard, because ultimately what you're trying to do is make a better tomorrow.
Yes.
And, EV is one of the best ways to achieve that.
Yes.
So, hopefully the government hears this podcast and they say, you know what, Vishal Vikram has spoken and we should reduce the costs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think now we
No, yeah.
can pivot to the next.
For sure. Yeah, no, yeah. I think it was definitely awesome. I think now we'll go to the more fun section. This is like more rapid fire, a little more fun for you.
Yes.
Okay, so if you could have lunch with one person in the past, present, who would that be?
Lunch with, see, I like, it would not be from anyone in EV or entrepreneur space.
Okay,
I
okay.
am a big fan of Shah Rukh Khan, and like I have this thing that, I would love to meet him, and I just want to, know him more and more. Every time I hear him, I'm always like, awe inspired. I'm
Yeah,
more fan of him as a person. I don't know, people don't appreciate him much as an actor. I've seen a lot of his good performance as well, but like, he's a person whom I want to be like. He's that sort of person. I would love to have lunch with you. I don't think so. If government wants here or not, please.
Shah Rukh Khan. Yeah, hopefully he sees this and he flies down to
I've
Hyderabad
even done
to have lunch with
I've
you.
even done stupider things, like when earlier in the starting days I've mailed Red Chili's entertainment for a job opportunity. I've done those sort of things as well.
It's all a part of the process, I guess. It's all a part of the process.
Yeah, hopefully, like at your podcast, let's hope I manifested it, and hopefully,
We hope to. We hope to.
yeah,
We hope everything that you wish for comes true too.
yes.
I'll do the next question, and it's If you weren't building BijliRide, or if you weren't a part of BijliRide, what would you be doing right now?
That is tough, man. If you would have asked me 4 years back, I would have told you a lot of things. I think at this point of time, like in present day, obviously I would not be going back in any job. Probably I would join a startup uh, in any space. I wouldn't go for any space focused, obviously, but any space, any a startup which would probably feel that okay, my skills would add value to them. I'd be more than happy to work with them and probably utilize my skills as well, because learning is something which I think it's a forever process. Like you never stop learning, and I realized it once I quit my first job, because at
Right.
the time I was not learning at all. So
Yeah, I think
this job only I've regained kind of my journey, because you know how you go through your BTech journey as well, right? You are not studying, you're just passing the exams.
Yeah.
But I'm, when I got entered into this startups and all everything, I felt that, this is something which has to be a continuous process. So probably if I was not working in BijliRide, I would be, associated with any startup only for sure.
I think that's one of my favorite things about
And
meeting entrepreneurs.
if I can think of, yes, I would love to be in any sort of a travel or tourist sort of a startup. I even tried to hook that. I think there was a startup or a company called Sherpas or something, where, you hook up with a tourist sort of a gang, like 5 to 10 people, and you can, like, let's say I belong to Lucknow, right? So I know my city in and out. So I would kind of pitch in to, be the host to that group of people, and I would be with them, and, I would make them explore the city, have food. I tell them, sort of a guide sort of thing. So that's why they named it.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly remember, but it was something related to Sherpas or B Sherpa or something. So that would be
That's
something
really
a
cool.
really exciting space. I think I would love to be associated with that sort of startup now that I thought of.
For sure.
I think that's a
Yeah,
cool
no,
answer.
yeah. Yeah, you just came up with a new startup idea. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the next question is what's your favorite quote? Yeah, it can be a Shah Rukh Khan quote as well for you, Shah Rukh Khan quote, but yeah, it can be any quote that keeps you going, a favorite
I
quote.
don't remember Shah Rukh's quote, but like I think one of the quotes which I always use is like, what got you here won't get you there. So I've applied it a lot of times, and this is something which I really imbibe by. Like, you cannot depend on something which has, brought you here in the past. Whatever is gone is gone. You need to, work on new things, learn new things in the coming future. Obviously, if you want to, if you are ambitious and you have aspirations and all. So I think that quote is always stuck with me, and I always try to tell my team and anyone who is seeking any advice or any casual talks with them. I always tell them that okay, this is something which you really need to adapt.
I think there's a book by that quote too.
Yes,
Yeah, I remember classmates recommending that book. I still have to
yes,
read it. I still have to read it.
yes.
But I love that. I love that.
Wait, Vishal, I think unfortunately Shah Rukh Khan won't come because he didn't pick his quote. He's now going to get lunch with you.
You can just say now.
No, we'll make sure he hears only that specific part where you wanted to meet.
Awesome. I think that brings us to the end of the podcast today. Again, yeah, thanks so much,
Thank you.
Vishal, for joining us. Yeah, this was definitely fun. Hopefully you had some fun too.
Yeah,
And
yeah, man. It was
yeah, this was
lovely
great.
talking to you guys, and I had a great time, man. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. Yeah, thanks so much for your time.